Greetings, everyone. This is Rob Chassner, and this is a training video, a brief tutorial on how to take a document, multiple page document, and properly um, bind it together to send it out to the opposing parties for a notice and demand or conditional acceptance or whatever documents that you're working on. And so the first thing I'll talk about is that all of my documents now, I put an American flag on the top left corner of the front page. And then on the top right corner, as you can see, I put a $1 stamp. And on that $1 stamp, I put a thumbprint, a date, and an autograph over part of the page and over part of the stamp to cancel out the stamp as though it were a transaction, as they the same styling they do it in the post office. Second thing I want to point out is on the signature page, I also put a $1 stamp, and I autograph, date, and thumbprint over the stamp and the page. And then on the reverse side of the last page, as you can see, there's something on the back side. And what I do is I turn it 90 degrees like you would endorse a check. And I put a smaller denomination postage stamp where I also autograph, thumbprint, and date the very last page. All right, now having said all of that, I'll just mention too that my autographs in years past were in script, the way we were taught in school, but I've learned for the past many years, I do not use script anymore for a signature, but rather I use my fully punctuated name printed legibly. So it's full colon, first name, hyphen, middle name, full colon, one space, last name, full colon, printed legibly. And there's many reasons why, but we won't get into that right now. So now that you have that information, you can see I've got a 4-page document here. I've got many pages, doesn't matter how big it is. When you bind it together, you can use grommets and you can use ribbons. And years ago, when I would use grommets, I would puncture a hole here and puncture a hole here and put a red ribbon. I'd put the grommets and a red ribbon across here and then down the right margin. And then I would melt wax and do an insignificant stamp on there. But in more recent years, what I do now is I don't use the grommets anymore, but I'll put a hole here and a hole around the middle. And so that's what I'm going to show you how to do, how I do it. And so very simply, just take a simple hole puncher, and I'm going to puncture in the middle on the left margin and towards the top on the left margin. And so now you can see, do this, there it is, middle and towards the top. The positioning is just in the margin, so you're not covering up any print on the front on any of the pages. That's the whole point, but to bind it. So there you have the two holes punched. You can see that. That's better. You can see it now. All right, that's the first step. I use satin ribbon and I use crimson color, which represents the color of blood, blood of Jesus, in my opinion. So I'm just going to cut off a piece, and that piece is what, about 12 to 18 inches long. And I'll show you how I do it. It's just do it however you want to do it. But I just use a letter opener. I'm going to move the camera down. You can see hopefully what I'm doing here. What I do, sorry, it's a little awkward, is I'll take it across the front and then I'll use this letter opener and just push the ribbon through the hole there and push the ribbon from front to back through there. Show you. See, it's pushed through. Then I just pull it through. I know this is elementary, but you want to make it look nice, so I make sure that that stays pretty straight on the front. You can straighten it out afterwards. See that? Now, you've got the ribbon hanging through the back. I loop it around. I loop it through once more, pushing it through the hole because I want to make a knot. And again, the whole purpose of this is to bind the document. So I'm just pushing it through. There's a little bit more ribbon on the top than there is on the bottom. But again, I'll push it through here. I'm done with the letter opener. So you can see I've got it pushed through and looped around and pushed twice. Now I'm going to bring this longer ribbon on the top up around one more time, and then I'm just going to push it down underneath to make a knot. See, I'm pushing it through just to make a regular slip knot. And you can pull it snug. Do the same thing for the lower one. When you bring it around, remember you want to bring it around and then loop it through top to bottom because you're going to eventually do wax over the edges. So here we go. Just pulling it through. See how simple that is. All right, so now you've got knots through both of the holes. You got like a square knot, and now you've got what I did there, but I'll bring this. Oh, I didn't loop this one through, and if I did, something happened, so I'll loop it through again. I made a mistake intentionally so that you don't think I'm perfect. There we go. All right. So one knot, two knots, it doesn't matter. Now what you've got is you've got a document which is bound, very fancy bound with the red ribbon. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just bring this edges down. See that? Cross them over a little bit like that. I'm going to put wax over it. Sorry. Now, what I like to do, I don't have one with me, but what I like to do is where my finger is, I like just to take a paper clip so that when I start to melt the wax, the ribbon doesn't move. A little trick that I've learned just from doing this over and over again. And you can see that the ribbon is uneven. So once I decide where to put the wax, about where my finger is now, and you want to make sure that the wax goes over the ribbon and also that the wax hits part of the page. So you're going to want to separate it a little bit like that so that it can go on the ribbon and on the page, which I'm going to do that now to demonstrate. I buy a box of these crimson color wax candles. And as a safety precaution, I always do I have a cardboard box tab that I pull off and I do it over that. So we'll light this candle. And with the ribbon in place, I'm afraid you're not going to be able to see this. I don't have enough hands. I need 2 hands for this. I'll show you the end product. Whoops. You don't want to melt the wax on your furniture. So I use that. I'll see if I can move the camera here in just a second. It's a lot easier if you have that paper clip in place so the ribbon is right where you need it to be. All right, now that it's dripping, I'm going to move the camera down so you can see, hopefully. You might be able to see that I'm melting it over the ribbon and onto part of the paper. Now I've got sufficient amount, it's blown out. Now I'm going to take my signature stamp and I'm going to press it down. And then turn it off. Don't pull it straight off, just turn it. And now here's what you have. You have the wax with an insignia stamp over part of the page and over part of the ribbon. And then you can come back and just snip off the edge that's too long. So I'm going to hold it up like that. See how nice it looks? It's bound together and the ends of the ribbon has wax on it and on the page, so it holds it in place. And you can see the back. Now, before I photocopy this, before I bind it, I photocopy it, and Now, when I'm done binding it like this, I photocopy the front page showing the ribbon, and I photocopy the back page showing the autograph over the stamp, and the back side showing where there's ribbon binding it together. And I make the the document plus the extra back page and the extra front page. I keep all of that in my file. And when I send a copy to other respondents, I'll include a copy of the ribbon front and back. And you keep that all for your file. All right. So there you have it. There's nothing more to it than that. You're binding a document. You can use grommets and ribbon or just ribbon. And that's how I bind it. I tie a knot, I loop it down through, I bring the ends down, melt wax, put the insignia stamp, cut the ends. I didn't do a good job here. You probably want to do a little angle, make it look really special. And then you're done. Make sure you keep photocopies with the binding for your file, for your records. All right, I hope this has been helpful and informative. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email, text, or call me. Thank you for viewing and good day.